This is What Now with AI.
I'm Tom, and I'm an AI skeptic.
And I'm MJ, and I'm an AI realist.
We're recording an episode in the afternoon for once.
I know, it feels so different, doesn't it?
It does. The energy shifts.
I wanted to ask you about glasses. AI glasses are starting to take off. Google has said that their version, they're coming out with another version, and Meta's got theirs.
It's becoming exciting because it's more and more affordable. People have already come up with so many applications, for example, facial recognition. Even it's someone at a party that you don't know, you can put out their LinkedIn profile and AI can generate some kind of talking points for you.
Yeah, talk about leveling the playing field.
Right.
Anybody can be charming now. I remember when the first version of Google Glasses came out, there were different kinds of issues, but it had more to do with the connectivity and was there data available to pull up. So I think AI has maybe been the technology to make glasses a reasonable product now.
However, it's not all rainbow and sunshine because there are also people who are concerned about it.
Oh, I'm concerned about it.
Right,
yeah.
In the learning and teaching context, because it can take videos and audio recording without consent. That means your students can be recording your entire lecture without your consent.
It's always been the case that students could record our lectures. The thing about the glasses, I think, is that it's deceptive in a different way. You're not just recording it and having the record of it later. It's helping shape the conversation in the moment. So if I'm asking you as an instructor and I'm asking you a question, and the reason I'm asking you the question is because I want to assess your learning, just talking with you to help you learn better. If the glasses are giving you answers.
Or in any kind of scenario-based assessment, imagine like you're a nurse, maybe AI will be able to prompt you what to say in a scenario-based exam and you may be able to pass. Sometimes students' ability to remember some key facts without being able to pull open book resources. I'm talking about this because I saw a breaking news happening at Princeton University, which yesterday passed a vote requiring all in-person examinations at Princeton to be proctored.
Wow.
Yeah, and the policy proposal specifically cites AI and personal electronic devices as major catalysts behind the policy shift.
I've been teaching a long time. Each time I give an exam, there's some new creative way.
But right now it can generate really complex analysis.
It's going beyond whether or not you've written the answers and you're on the brim of your cap or on the bottom of your water bottle.
Right.
It seems to me that what Princeton has done, I think, is evidence that there's AI is creating a reckoning for us. It's a moment where we have to decide what it is that we're going to do in response of this. And so I'm going to be interested to see whether or not this works for Princeton, or if it's just going to make them even more aware of the ways that students are struggling with the learning, right? With exams as a learning assessment.
On a related note, I would be interested to see if there's any data on whether schools have increasing adoption of in-person closed book examination as the assessment method compared to maybe in the past is online exam.
The other thing relates to something that you were sharing with me about how students are getting more knowledgeable about creating these tools.
Yeah. So I came across this article, again, another University of Notre Dame. A freshman mass emailed the entire undergraduate student body to promote Kara, an AI startup that connects to a university's Canvas and automatically generates lecture notes, practice tests, and assignment drafts from course materials without going through the university. The question is, if Kara works at Advertise, it essentially automates the process of being a student. It reads lecture materials for you, generate notes for you, generate practice tests for you, even draft assignments for you, all generated from the course materials uploaded by the instructor. So is it a genuine learning tool or does it complete the job that a student is supposed to do?
There was a conference in San Diego a couple of years ago that I went to. You might have heard of it, the ASU, the air show. Yeah.
AI Air Show.
When I attended this, I made a point to visit every single vendor who had a booth there. A lot of new companies were there. Some of those new companies were students who had started something. And when I would talk with them, I would say, what is your idea here? Why did you start this? And it almost always began with, well, my experience is X, Y, and Z. Or I have a friend who was, having problems with a course. And so we were talking about how AI could help. They're building these tools from their own experience, from their own perspective. And I thought it was interesting how confident they were in what it was that they were doing. And I asked them, have you talked with the instructors about what it is that they're trying to? And it never occurred to them that maybe they should do that. They're reacting to classes as though they're like this given, right? This thing that just happens naturally, and that what the AI does is just help them as a student, as opposed to seeing it being part of this larger system that we've created for learning. They just see it as this system that you go through and you complete these stages, and at the end of it, you have a degree. When I read how Notre Dame responded to this student, it could have been a great learning opportunity for the institution as well.
I think this is nothing new. Imagine students can do everything that the app has promised on their own. Notebook LM, you upload all the materials to it. It can generate summary for you. It can probably generate practice tests for you. It may even be able to generate like drafts of assignments for you.
Oh, it can.
Right.
Definitely.
So the question is not whether they're there, but what we're doing with it. And, we're both sitting here understanding that, productive struggle is a necessary part of learning, and AI is taking away that friction. And one of the things that I read is published by Stanford, analyzing over 800 academic papers on AI use in education. But in the K-12 context, first, they find that the number of studies studying causal relationship is very few, only 20, because as we've discussed in a episode before, most AI studies right now are just like, do a survey. Oh, how do you feel about AI? But then the finding is that, AI tools are able to immediately boost students' performance in tests in the immediate time, but a few weeks or a few months later, they are unable to retain the skills. So yes, AI is able to help students pass a lot of tests, submit a lot of assignments that are perfect, but after the semester or after they finish the degree, how many skills are they able to retain?
Okay, here's the problem I have with that. If you did the assessment of how much they retain when they don't use AI 3 weeks later, how much are they going to retain?
Right.
I have students who tell me that their sole purpose of learning is to get that grade at the end.
Exactly. So I think that kind of tools will probably be very popular among students because, half of the value of a university degree is networking.
And finding the network is hard.
Yeah.
So why don't we use things like this to be able to spend more time on getting students to get to know each other and meet each other and interact with one another? If you think about it, if AI is going to start doing all of these things, it's going to free up a lot more time. And but the instructors' concerns about using AI for assessments, that students are using AI for assessments, is as great now as it was at the start of this semester, if not even greater. There's just so many more ways that AI is taking over the workflow. This is something I also saw last week at an event that we had here on campus, the AI Summit. And there was a lot of discussion about student use of AI. Is it ethical? Is it not ethical? What can we do about it? The difference that I saw this year from the same event that we had last year was that last year there was more of like AI was mysterious. It made instructors kind of tense or nervous or anxious because we didn't necessarily know what it is. This year we have a much clearer idea of what it is and what its capabilities are. But now there's like this desperation of the tools that we usually have available to us aren't working, is the message that I heard over and over again. We implore students to act, quote unquote, act ethically, and they are still using the AI. We make syllabus statements. We talk about it in class. We tell them how AI works, right? All of the things that we thought a year ago would help students choose to use it better are not working. It's helping the students be more informed, but it's not necessarily changing the decisions that they're making.
I didn't go to AI Summit. I thought that one of your thoughts is that the discussion of agents is absent from the summit.
Right. One of the things that I noticed, the assumption of what AI is remains just the chat box. there was very little acknowledgement that AI is now infused through so much of what we do. So
I think faculty have underestimated how advanced students are when it comes to AI. I've known students who are very good at using agents. We have Gemini. You can build jams. The Copilot is integrated with like Teams and like your emails. So a lot of people have used it to basically just on the way to work or to school, summarizes all the meetings that you have, who's present, some of the talking points that you have. At the end of the day, generate like a summary of what have been accomplished. Among us, a lot of us have like annual reviews that we have to do. AI can already help us quantify things, our outputs. And same for students, AI tools is just one of the many agents that students use to streamline or automate the workflow, so as to say. I think we definitely need to think about the impact of workflows being automated.
And learning is a workflow.
Right.
We may not have realized that before, but for students, it is.
Yes. Like there are many steps that needs to be completed in order to say that we have completed a course. Now, the real question is, are we fully automating the workflow to AI? What decision-making power do students actually want or have in the process?
And you notice the difference in the conversation of this versus the conversation that we would have of, is using AI ethical or not? It's all about our own methods, our own processes, our own workflows. I'm not sure how I feel about thinking about going through the day as a collection of workflows, though.
Workflow automation has been on my mind a lot because of this LinkedIn article that I've read. So this LinkedIn essay published by futurologist Jason Allen Snyder argues that the AI industry has quietly converted a fundamental human right, the right to be the decision maker in your own life, into an automated workflow, encoding and examine judgments into system that executes them at scale without consent, presence, or pause. And I have a lot to say about this because I think ultimately this affects every single person here working at MSU. I'm an instructional designer. We have discussed times and times again how there are tools that can generate an entire course, semester-long course. AI can make decisions for you, like instructional pedagogical decisions. What assessment methods to include, what instructional materials to include, what language to use, right? So I've also talked to someone here who works in the Office of Admissions. This, again, is something that can easily be automated to AI to just upload the entire package, GPA, SAT, personal statement into AI and let AI make the decision. Because we have the benchmarks already, right?
Exactly.
But at what point do we decide, like, we don't need this decision-making anymore?
One of the responses that could come from that is, well, we shouldn't do that because AI can be inaccurate. And so the companies have been working on making AI that is more accurate. And what I've noticed is a shift away from, is AI hallucinating or is AI accurate? They're now using the phrase, is AI aligned? Are the decisions aligned with the decisions that humans would make?
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes the benchmark, not the quality of the answer itself, but if the output, right, the decisions is what you were saying.
Correct. So it's a really big issue. A lot of the fun news we've shared, they all have to do with decisions being outsourced to AI. We let them make the decision and we suffer the consequences because we trust them with the decision.
I think we're going to see that.
Making.
I think we need to be thinking about that over the summer. As fall, I think it'll be even more of that.
I think it will be really dystopian when the decision makers in any organizations, including MSU, decide that we don't need an instructional designer to make these decisions anymore because we trust AI. AI
Exactly.
is as good as making a judgment.
It's aligned with what we would do, so why would? Yeah, that's the,
right.
The same article that you were sharing from LinkedIn, I thought had some good suggestions at the end about very specific things that we could be doing. I thought that the emphasis on the things that we could do to protect not only our information, but our ability to make decisions, which goes to what you were saying. The decision is the point where we can shape what the system is. So be very cautious about giving away your own ability to make that decision or your own authority to make that decision. So I really liked that part. And to recognize that every system is designed by somebody. Mm-hmm. It has values inside of it in that system. And I think we should pay attention to that.
Absolutely.
Because it still comes down to reacting to one another and connecting with one another. which ties into the fun story that I saw this week. So this has happened in countries where Buddhism is a primary religion. It's very present, but as is the case with many religions across the globe, that formal membership is decreasing. And so working to support and try to grow believers. And at least these 3 different examples, they've created a Buddhist robot. In one of them, they had the robot monk ordained. In another one, they have it hold hours in the temple for people to come and get spiritual counseling from.
I was at the Honolulu Museum of Art in January, and there was a Buddhist exhibition, and I actually asked a lot of Buddhism-related questions to AI chatbot because I didn't know much about Buddhism. I could totally see like a robot answering questions from someone who wants to learn more about Buddhism.
Unfortunately, one of the Buddhist robots was more of a mechanical Turk. It had pre-recorded answers that were given by another one of the monks. The robot had to be returned to its day job at the factory after the event was over. But I think the other one is still there giving advice.
It can be pretty dystopian too, because not related to AI, but some hotels in Florida right now, they are zooming in from maybe India. They are checking in for you remotely. If they can do that with remote workers, maybe one day AI bots can just replace hotel front desk workers and check in your room for you.
That makes me realize that something that's missing from this list of the things that we could do to protect our data, protect our decisions. One of the things, too, is protecting our abilities to connect with one another. When those workflows are changed so that it isolates us.
Right.
What Now with AI is a product of AI Commons. The contents in this podcast are openly licensed via Creative Commons license BY-NC-ND. Views expressed are those of the individuals and do not necessarily represent those of Michigan State University.
This episode was recorded on May 13th, 2026.